Okay, so this week's Street Talk, I've managed to condense everything down into 5 stories. Some of them are definitely merged, because a bit like last week, we had a bit of a swappy over the stories this week, but it was okay. We're going to start off with the trouble-free story, because Kelly is still out, and hasn't gone inside anywhere this week. I don't know. She went to a hotel for a little bit. But since it's not going so well for Kelly, do we feel sorry for her yet? I'll find out in a little bit. We also had the Johnny Gonner storyline, which has got the Daniel and Daisy stuff in as well.
So surprised that they actually had a funeral for him.
I know, there we go. It's nice, thank you. It's good that he got his proper send-off, didn't he? Then we'll talk about the Tashes to Ashes story. Also, I'll put the Summer Crush stuff in there as well. But this week, rather than Summer crushing on Daniel, which she seems to have completely forgotten about, it's the other way around. She's got an admirer of her own. Last week we had the Tyler story, which was the Tyrone and Isla couple shipping name, but it seems to be over already, over before it's gone so quick. So quick, in fact, that the storyline title is now Tyler Swift.
Yeah, I get it.
You get it. I know, I get it. As a pop culture reference there. And finally, and I'm not trying to get some free earphone sponsorships here, but my Ray Crosby storyline is going to be called Raycon.
What's that then?
Well, double meaning actually, because he was in prison, so he's a con.
Yeah.
And also Debbie was conning him.
What's Raycon?
Raycon, there's wireless earphone thingies that YouTubers like to have sponsor in their videos. I've not watched anything with Raycon videos. That it was. I was actually, because the reason that I first started asking I wanted some of the Apple headphones last year is because I was seeing videos with Raycon sponsorships on. And that made me think, I'd like some wireless headphones. It worked. They made me buy a different brand headphone.
Is it because they kept saying, these aren't worse than Apple ones?
But anyway, yeah, Ray's back. Who'd have thought? And Faye. Ray and Faye. We saw this week, didn't we?
Ray and
Faye back again today. Right, trouble-free, Gemma. I'll take this one, shall I, for the first story of the week. So we had a Tuesday first episode, and we were left wondering last week what was going to be happening with Ardy and Kelly, and whether they were going to be getting a bit close for comfort, whether they were going to be synchronising watches at the digs last week, over the weekend. And they didn't. He slept on the floor like a gentleman, and he reckons that she should go back to Wiman and Toya because this place is a bit of a dive, and she says, well, you should probably go back home yourself, actually. Later on, I think this is when Kelly's in on her own, Cole barges in for a chat again. He wants to know about this, about Seb getting beaten up and killed, and he's like, did you hit that bloke to death then? And then he kind of he tells her that he wants her to work for him now, and he kind of acts all the big I am and like, this is my patch, you do what I say. But to be fair play to her, she just stands up to him and she's not scared of him. And he says, look, you're in here because you got nothing, you're like the rest of us, you owe me. And because of the phone thing where she got him his name mentioned in Weatherfield police station last week, and but she stands up to him, but she still ends up doing it anyway. Meanwhile, back at Toya and Imran's place, she's telling him that Kelly deserves a break and maybe he should casually call in on her after work just to see how she's doing. So Cole again comes over later and is he wet her bed or something? She lifts up her... I don't know. I can't remember whether it was supposed to be him, whether it was implied that he had created this wet patch on her bed, or whether somebody else had come in and done it. Do you remember that?
I thought it was him.
He seems... I mean, none of the doors at this place seem to have locks on it. It seems to be as much of a turnstile bedroom door as Maria's got. But
he kind of insinuates that he can stop it. Well...
Yeah, well, he does. He insinuates that he can find who did this and sort them out.
But I think
we
it was
look
obvious.
After it. Yeah, it seems to be obvious. I don't know.
That he's the one that actually did do it.
Yeah, and so there's no way should you go back to your foster parents. He says, we will look out for each other here, i.e. go and steal some phones from me, pretty please. Ardy, meanwhile, is meeting up with Summer and says, look, I stayed with Kelly last night on the floor. Mega dump, not safe for her. She needs to get out of that place. And by the way, you were right to break up with me. I was acting like a total idiot. So, Cole drops Kelly off to the street and she sets to stealing phones. She goes to the cafe and has a bit of a chat with Amy, tries to get her talk in there. And did Amy go to the loo or something? I can't remember. But when Amy isn't looking, Kelly swipes her phone. And Amy comes back later and discovers it's missing. Tracy later marches up to Kelly, says, right, you... pockets open, please. You got my daughter's phone, because Amy immediately knows it's Kelly because nobody else was there. Bernie doesn't find out because she's got her head in the freezer, or doesn't she? Hasn't she? She's defrosted the freezer, Bernie, on Monday,
Yes,
Tuesday.
that's what
I mean,
she's doing.
so Tracy comes having a go at Kelly and says, right, you give that bloody phone back. And Kelly's like, I didn't do it. I haven't stolen it. I don't know what you're talking about. Fortunately for her, Imran is there trying to calm things down. He comes over to her and says, she wouldn't have stolen that phone. She says she doesn't. I believe her. Tracy says, she is playing you for a massive fool, Imran. She did it, but I'm not going to press this any further, and walks off. And Imran's like, there you go, calm that and write it down. You didn't steal it, did you? No, it wasn't me. Imran says, I might come over to your new place later, which she tries very hard to put him off of. At this point, Amy's phone starts ringing. So it becomes immediately obvious that Kelly has indeed nicked the phone. Ardy goes to see Dev in the cafe later, and he's pretty mad at him for not coming home last night. And he says, look, sorry if... The Dev's like, I'm really, really sorry if you think I would choose Asher over you, but it's just not true. Come home. And Ardy says, I will, if Kelly can come and stay. No way, says Dev. And Ardy says, well, look, I'm not coming back home unless you agree. So he's got him over a bit of a barrel there, hasn't he? Imran takes Kelly back to the office, the lawyer's office then for a little bit. She's being very evasive about what's going on with all the phone stealing and everything. And he says, look, just give me the phone, it'll be fine. And she's like, no, I'm not doing that. Clops off. She goes, she sees Ardy outside. He calls for her. She completely ignores him. Ardy then goes and has a bit of a chat with Imran himself. Says, I stayed over with Kelly last night. I think Cole might be behind all this phone thievery that's going on. And Imran says, well, I'm going to go and pay Cole a visit. If that's the case. Ardy says, don't do that. It's fine. Dev has agreed to let Kelly stay over at our house. So it looks like he was able to be quite persuasive with his dad. The blackmail worked. So Imran comes up with a great plan there of I'm going to post this phone through the letterbox at number 1. It looked like he was using the same jiffy bag that £7,000 was posted to him in the other month.
Recycle.
Yeah, exactly. Save the planet. Yeah, go Maria. They did mention a little bit of that today, didn't they? They had Maria mentioned global warming or something. So why not? So, but yeah, Tracy catches him and he's like, "Oh, I found this phone in the ginnel. Assumed it was Amy's because it was missing." And she's like,
"I didn't ask anyone. I just posted it."
Yeah, just sort of post it. I think when I was watching this scene, I was kind of reading it that he knew that she knew that he was lying, and he's saying, "Look, Kelly's had far more dealings with the police recently than she needs, so please don't report her. Let's just draw a line under this, shall we?" And Tracy says,
"It's a bit obvious."
Okay, but Kelly's trouble. I'm just saying, Imran. So Imran sees Cole in the cafe later, has a coincidental bumping into him, I think, and says, "Right, you need to leave Kelly alone, actually." He's told then to keep his neb out, and Imran says, "Oh, yeah, I would, but I think I know what you're up to with these phones, and if you keep harassing my foster daughter, I'll report you to the police." Yeah.
I think I know what he's up to as well.
What?
Selling them.
I think he probably is. I think he is. No, he is saying, "I know that you are even stealing them." That's all.
No.
So back at the digs later.
I thought you were like.
No. I think
I know what you're up to
you're stealing
with
these
these phones,
and you're
starting a bot farm.
making a tower.
You're just
phones.
trying to get all. I know what you're doing with these phones. You are stalking Daisy's Instagram profile and liking pictures of her with babies.
No, I think that he's attaching them to the front of his bike and going on a massive Pokemon Go hunt, like back at the beginning of that. I'm sure there's got to be some kind of reason for it.
It must be a reason. We've got to keep thinking what.
I think he's a massive Carla Connor fan, and
Yeah.
and when she was stealing all the phones a few years ago, he's like, now wants to be like her. Maybe he's hoping that he can conjure up the ghost of Rana as well.
It could be.
Could be many reasons why somebody wants to take a load of phones.
Keep thinking about it.
Not just selling them on. So anyway, back at the digs, Kelly has to tell Cole she hasn't got him a phone. He has a go at her about Imran standing up to him and says, "Right, you are finished here. Too much trouble. Sling your up, miss." So Asher gets home from school later and is not happy. What a surprise about the news that Kelly has been invited to stay. What's Nina going to say? She's my girlfriend and you've invited the accomplice of her ex-boyfriend's murderer round to stay. And Dev even says, "Oh, I hadn't thought about that. I thought he might have come up with some sort of excuse there." But now it turns out that it's going to be Asher who's going to threaten to move out. So Dev just can't catch a break with this, really. Kids, eh? God.
So bloody complicated.
What are they like? So later on, we have Ardy taking Imran up to Kelly's room. She's cleared the whole thing out. She's gone. I think she's even managed to... Did she manage to scrub off the graffiti then or something? I can't remember. But Cole comes in. Well, Cole's got nothing to do at the moment, has he? He's just hanging around waiting to see who's going to go in that room next. I think he's... maybe he's got his massive phone stashed like under a mattress or something. He's just keeping an eye on it. Although, no, he wouldn't have thrown water over the bed if that was the case, would he?
I think he weed on it.
Do you reckon?
Well, did she put her hands on it and smelt it?
Oh, did she? I missed that.
I
don't know. Maybe it was. Gross. So, Cole comes in and says, "Yeah, Kelly don't live here no more." So Imran goes back home and says, "Toya, think I might have made things worse with Kelly. Sorry about that." And Toya says, "Don't worry, Kelly's a survivor." Cut to Kelly out on the streets, looking a bit chilly. She's now homeless. Kelly. This week's Coronation Street, even more so than last week, was Corrie's very real attempts to get us to all love Kelly and feel sorry for her, didn't it?
It's definitely working on some people.
It is. I mean, it's kind of working on me a little bit. We'll talk about that later.
Well, we've had plenty of people telling us that
we have
my stance on Kelly is mean. I'm mean. I am mean.
Yeah, you don't hide it, do you? Cheers. Wednesday's episode then. So Kelly wakes up on the street. Imran calls her, but her battery runs out. Stays there all night. Typical, isn't it? So she has to go and find somewhere to plug it in. Where else would you go other than Chariot Square Hotel? So she goes into this hotel, into the lobby, and then a hotel worker there turns up and says, "Oh, don't recognise you, miss. Which room are you staying in?" Kelly kind of blusters about coming into the hotel with her dad, and then this man kind of jumps in to corroborate her story. What's going on there then, I was wondering.
What's going on?
We also had a little bit before that, I forgot to say, about Imran and Ardy getting worried about Kelly and everything. He's going to go and see if she's turned up back at her digs. But yeah, anyway, so this guy in the hotel... he buys her a meal, and he's been a little bit pervy, isn't he? I was getting sort of Nathan and Neil vibes from him, and she's saying, "Oh, how many spoons do you want with your profiteroles, love?" And that's a euphemism for synchronising watches, I think. Maybe. and then he starts telling her she's really beautiful, and if she needs anything, go and pay him a visit in room 34. No, thank you very much, she says. So then we had... what does she do? She doesn't. So she goes back off at this point. She goes back to her new lodgings, which were in Kitchener Street, round the back of Roy's Rolls. I don't think we were supposed to know that's what it is, but I think Coronation Street have only got about 2 streets that they can afford to use that are not the main streets. No, I mean, you know what? It was fine, but I mean, the problem with this was that she was sitting round the back of Roy's while people were in Roy's saying, "Oh, I wonder where Kelly could be."
She's clearly not there, is she?
Clearly not. Anyway, she's having a hard time, has a bit of a cry, and then Arden comes home later to a massive meal that Dev and Asher have put up for him, or put out for him. He's not in the mood though. He's too concerned about where Kelly can get to, and Asher says, "Your dad's trying his best here. He's cooked you your favourite meal. You're turning your nose up at it. You better sit down and eat this." So he does. And because of that, he misses his phone, because Kelly tries to ring him. And so she's in a bit of a pickle out on the streets. But she can't. He didn't answer it. Tragic. So what else can you do but go to room 34? So Pervy Man. Now, did we get a name for him? Pervy.
No, his name's Perv, like Herv.
Herv.
Yeah.
Is that a name?
Herv is a name.
Herv.
Short for Herbert. Herv.
So anyway, the pedo hotel room man invites her in. To be fair to him, he didn't realise that she was underage, did he? He kind of got a bit of a shock.
You've got to be fair to the...
Got to be fair to the pedo hotel room man. He shows her around. They order a bit of champagne, which she downs a little bit of, and then he starts the heavy petting, shall we say? And it's all a bit creepy and gross.
Does
and
he?
Well, kind of. He's kind of good, being a bit leery with her. He's being a bit, less than 1 metre distance. They must have had a COVID test before they filmed this scene.
What do you think heavy petting is?
Just getting a bit like...
He didn't honk her boobs, did he?
No, he didn't honk her boobs. He wanted to. He wanted to. Don't, is that what the sign means in the swimming pool? Don't honk boobs.
No honking.
If you want to get the lifeguard's attention, just go up to him.
And honk his boobs.
What are we talking about? Anyway, she says, you should go and have a shower, mate. So he goes off for a bit of what he thinks is pre-coital showering. And he says, oh yeah, come and join me. And she says, oh, I'll just go and have another glass of this champagne first. But actually what she's doing is starting nicking whatever cash she can get her hands on. What a twocker.
What?
Twocker.
What's a twocker?
She twocks, doesn't she? Taken without consent.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
Craig would know what I'm talking about.
Where did you get this from?
Bill.
Twocker?
I think I got it from the Bill. Maybe I got it from the Thin Blue Line. Imral, meanwhile, is telling Toya about Kelly doing a disappearing act, and Toya is now starting to act a little bit more worried about Kelly. She says she may act tough, but she really isn't. Even though at the end of the last episode she says she was saying she was a survivor, so I don't know. Woman's allowed to change her mind. They need to find her, and when they do, Toya says, I'm not letting go of her. So, sorry, Elsie. I'm going to maybe figure out a way that we can have both of you, but
She's bored of Elsie now.
yeah. I don't think Elsie said anything this week, did she? She had her lines for the month last week. Kelly is still in the hotel room, creeping around looking for money. She kind of he's there showering with the door open, isn't he, with the bathroom door, and his trousers are on the floor, and she kind of hoiks them out of the bathroom.
She runs away, jingling like a cat with the belt, making a really racket.
And no surprises, he comes out with his dressing gown, asks her whether she's going somewhere, and this is when she kind of says what she probably should have said earlier, to be honest. I'm underage. And he doesn't believe her at first. I think he's taken aback a little bit. But before he can really have time to process this information, he's got a knee in the groin, knee in the nuts, and she legs it out of the hotel.
Well, she doesn't take. Does he take his wallet?
No, she takes what?
I think he.
I don't know. She don't
she's
know how to
really
go
rubbish.
dumpster diving today. She's taken his wallet.
She's literally caught red-handed. She's terrible.
That's why she needs Stu to help her.
I
Teach
imagine
her the ways of the street rat.
I imagine Kelly's fan club will say that that it's because she's so noble and wonderful that she's bad at stealing things. Like it's somehow a virtue that she's not very good at it.
Right, so this is where they have that little jump cut panic attack sort of scene, doesn't it? She's up against the wall. There's quite a lot of Kelly crying up against the wall this week, but this time it was just. Is it jump cut? Is that what it's called? Where it kind of films a little bit for a second and then it films a different position for a second. Oh, I thought it was quite good. I like that. Toya's phoning her up. She turns the call down, and Toya leaves her a message saying, "Look, we just need you back here with us. You can stay at number 7 for a little bit until things are sorted with Elsie, but please, 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 Kelly, come home." Kelly listens to the message later, phones up Ardy and says, "Oh, I'm really, really sorry." Ardy says, "Come back then." Dev says it's all cool. Asher is there looking daggers at her brother for inviting this murderess. She's not. She didn't do it. She's totally innocent. Not even involved. She wasn't even there. Back to live with them at number 7. Kelly goes back to the street, and she's ready to go and move into Dev's, but she overhears Asher telling Ardy that she don't want Kelly moving in here. Kelly realises, alas, I am not wanted. Flounces off.
It wasn't obvious before then. Clearly.
No, clearly not. She goes off to the Ginnell, phones Ardy up and says, "Oh, I'm staying with me mum. You know, that person who is really partly to blame for me being sent down after that damning evidence she gave against me. But yeah, I'm staying with her now. We're having pizza. It's going to be awesome." And then she has a bit more of a cry just for good measure. Tell you what, she's going to be on the nomination for the Weatherfield Waterworks Awards this year, isn't she, Kelly?
Definitely.
Yeah. You reap what you sow, Kelly. Friday, Imran and Toya are getting a little bit anxious by this point because neither of them have heard from R. Kelly. Toya's starting to worry still. Imran says, "It's going to be fine. She's probably at Ardy's house." And then this is where we reintroduce to Stu. Homeless Stu is back, everybody.
Homeless
Stew.
Is that like what you get fed at a soup kitchen?
Yes, that's absolutely. He probably didn't have a name. I reckon he's like an amnesiac or something, and he stumbled his way to Billy's soup kitchen one week, and it said Homeless Stew there. And he's like, "I'll have that."
That's my name.
He approaches Kelly as she's kind of looking for cold pizza in a bin somewhere. Have a bit of cold pizza the next day. Delicious stuff.
No.
Pepperoni pizza, is that, Gemma? That's your favourite.
Is it?
You like pepperoni, but you always want to have pepperoni pizza when we go. Or when we're
What's my favourite flavour of pizza?
You always have pepperoni pizza.
I don't.
Well, you like to have ones with peppers and mushrooms as well.
That's such a weird thing to say.
No, it's not. It's totally true.
I'm really surprised that you think that's true.
What do you say your favourite pizza?
I always have pepperoni pizza.
You all... Maybe that's your second choice then. What would you say your favourite pizza is? What would you, if you were homeless on the street, what would you be actually quite pleased to find cold in a bin? If you had to have bin pizza, what would it be?
What would I quite like to find cold in a bin is cold hard cash. I don't have a favourite flavour of pizza. It might be surprising for you.
Next time you order a pizza and you go for pepperoni, I'll be like,
Excuse me, I am so offended that you're insisting that I don't know what flavour pizza I prefer. I normally get I like the chicken feast one, or I have Hawaiian. Yes, that's right. I like pineapple on pizza, and I think it's hilarious that it's even a conversation about whether you're allowed to like it or not. I have pepperoni, yeah, but I also like all the meats.
What would you say my favourite bin pizza is?
What do you like your favourite bin pizza? Oh, something disgusting with barbecue sauce.
Yeah, I love a nice barbecue.
Like the
Does
weird...
anybody else like barbecue sauce on their pizza? That's kind of the one I go for now.
It makes me feel sick. Yeah,
more often than not, I'll have a barbecue sauce rather than tomato.
There's always some new disgusting combination of horrible flavours, and they never stay on the menu because they're always grotesque, but you always want, it's a Tex-Mex barbecue sauce pizza with
lovely
gobbets of mashed up chicken brains.
As you might tell, when we order pizza, we don't often share.
We never share pizza because you like barbecue sauce should not. Okay, anyone who's gonna have a go at me about having pineapple cannot defend the use of barbecue sauce as a base for pizza.
I discovered this 10 years ago. I'm not looking back again. I don't even think that I really had barbecue sauce until that long ago.
No, I agree. And now you're obsessed with it.
While we're on the subject of food, Gemma, Coronation Street themed food discussions, what would you prefer to have in your shepherd's pie? Carrots, peas or tomatoes?
Tomatoes out of the question. What are you talking about? Maybe a blob of tomato puree in there if you insist. But chopped tomatoes.
I quite like to try that.
What are you making? Bolognese?
Yeah, I can make me one of those.
Bolognese with mashed potato on the top is what you've made. Get out.
Although if it's shepherd's pie, it's lamb, isn't it? So maybe that's not so good.
It'd be moussaka then, wouldn't it? That's what you're making, Leanne. You're making moussaka.
I don't think I'd like. I think I like a nice carrot, but I don't like a carroty chunk inside my shepherd's pie. Peas I love because I love peas with everything. They're the best vegetable.
Peas are the best vegetable.
We really like peas. We don't like the same pizza, but we don't like the same pea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the best.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
I don't really like carrots or peas chopped up in...
I don't want to chop up a pea. What do you chop up a pea for? This pea's too big, too hard to swallow. I might choke on this. This is what might do a lily.
No wonder why it takes me so long to cook anything. God damn, I hate chopping peas.
When they're frozen as well, I was pinged off the kitchen side.
I have to get another one out of the freezer.
That's what you made us do, Kelly. You and your disgusting habits of bin pizza. Thank goodness for Stu showing you the error of your ways. And he says that what we need...
You don't want bin pizza, you want bin sandwiches.
Yeah, bin sandwich is the way to go. Because if we go over to Fresco's car park, which is definitely not the Coronation Street car park, we can go rooting. What was it, 4 o'clock? That's throw-out time. And they're
unless
still fresh.
Unless it's Sunday.
And yeah, unless it's Sunday, because they don't do sandwiches on Sunday. Why is that? Not even a roast chicken sandwich or anything like that. Fresh goes. I think there's a
maybe it's because
gap in the market there.
Maybe it's because the people don't go to work on Sundays because it's a day of rest.
Maybe. Anyway.
Winfield's very devout.
Yeah, he helps her get some proper scran, he calls it, because he's proper northern. And this is when he starts saying...
He does a speech.
He does a speech about what a bastion of justice he is. And just the other week, he was helping getting that scally Corey off of the streets. Have you heard of him, R. Kelly? He and his scumbag mates kicked a guy to death. And Kelly's like, never heard of him, mate. Sorry. Thanks.
Oh, how terrible. What a terrible thing.
No, she looks quite kind of like, oh, he's talking about me. I am one of his scumbag mates. Alas, what a terrible person I am. And that's how she kind of ends the episode. And also, Toya has been to see Ardy in the shop to say so is thingy Kelly with you then, and he's like, no, she's there with her mum. And Toya and Imran say, that's not really the first person that I would choose to go to be honest, if I was Kelly. But let's not do anything about it. I would think that maybe Kelly, Toya and Imran should probably have maybe contacted Laura just to check she is there, isn't she? They're going to take the word of this 15, 16-year-old kid. Don't you think? Did you think that was weird?
I was reading. It's really bizarre. I just read this.
It's all that food talk. It's got hungry now. What are you reading? It's the Waitrose Christmas catalogue or something.
No, it's not the Waitrose. It's the Fish Society.
Oh, gross.
I've got a catalogue.
Don't like any kind of fish.
Okay.
That's not
and it
pizza
says
or
here, it says, give the gift of fish. Right? But it says salmon gifting. And it's like, that's not a thing. You can't make it a thing. Salmon gifting. It says, every year it's one of our top selling lines. We run a fantastic salmon gifting programme. You send us a list of who's on your nice list and we do all the work. We prepare and pack 200 grams of smoked salmon to your loved ones in time for Christmas. Just contact customer team and reference salmon gifting. What is
I can imagine somebody turning up at your door and
Yeah.
slapping you around the face with it.
I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm here, but I've been told I have to give you this packet of salmon.
I went on a school trip, on Wednesday, and we saw the salmon farm.
Oh, did you?
We did. We walked past it.
Did you get me a salmon?
No.
I love salmon.
No. But we went over the salmon ladder. Do you know what a salmon ladder is? No, it was a fish ladder, sorry. Have you heard of a fish ladder?
No.
Yeah, so when the salmon... We're so
hell?
off topic today. So this is where the salmon, they swim up the stream.
Yeah.
And there's a salmon pool where they do their salmon business.
Yeah, they do.
Well, they think they're going to do the salmon business, but they actually get and eaten.
Oh.
But
Mean.
in order for them to get up a slopey bit, is where they make little steps for the fish to kind of hurl themselves up. And that is called the salmon.
The reward at the end of the ladder is you get your head chopped off.
Yeah, they don't know that. They think they're up for a bit of fish fun time. Yeah.
Wow, that's a metaphor for life, isn't it? You struggle, and then you get to the top.
Anyway, what I was asking you, Gemma, is do you think that Toya and Imran should have maybe contacted Laura?
This was a children's excursion, was it? To the salmon abattoir?
No, we didn't go to the salmon abattoir. We just were walking down the River
Look,
Itchen and we happened to see a salmon pool there.
You ever wondered how a salmon dies?
Stop it.
All right, okay. They should have checked with Kelly.
That's all I wanted you to say.
Kelly's
yes,
mum.
Michael, you're absolutely right. Toya and Imran were rather neglectful foster parents there.
Well, I mean, are they really technically her foster parents anymore?
Ex-foster parents. I
I
don't
know. They seem to have washed their hands of her.
Yeah. Have you? Have you washed your hands of her? Or are you starting to feel a little twinge of sympathy for R. Kelly?
Is she not being a bit shawnish about this?
That depends. I mean, how long has she been homeless now?
No, not even a week.
Not even a week. So she's still got a couple of weeks maybe until she can claim to be as homeless as Sean was.
It's very difficult because homelessness is an important thing to talk about, and you're not even supposed to say homeless. You're supposed to say houseless or without a home.
Yeah.
But I don't think Coronation Street does it very well because it always feels as though the person who is going through this experience only has to ask, can I please come home?
Oh yeah, it is quite similar, isn't she? She could have gone to her mum.
She
probably.
could have gone
she
to
could
her
have gone
mum.
to Imran and Toya.
Yeah, I mean, what's the motivation for her ignoring Toya's phone calls? And I mean, I get that she feels
It was partly last week, wasn't it? When what was it, Mia, the girl at the prison, saying everyone's going to be out for your blood, then you're not going to fit into society. And then one of the first people that she meets when she comes to Coronation Street is Nina, who tears her a new one. So she's feeling like the whole world is against her at the moment. Yeah,
it's difficult because I can totally sympathise with why she doesn't want to hang around there, but it still does feel as though, is it really a better solution? And is it telling the story of homelessness in a sympathetic manner that reflects people's true experiences of homelessness? And I'm going to say no again. I don't think so. I think a lot of people end up homeless because of mental health issues or abuse at home, or sometimes substance abuse, alcoholism, etc. There's a lot of reasons outside of your control that you end up homeless. But Coronation Street never seems to really get it right because, you know,
I did feel a bit sorry for her this week. I'm not as down on Kelly as you are, as you know, but it was really difficult watching it because all I was thinking when I was watching it is Coronation Street are desperately trying to make me, you know, forgive Kelly of everything, and it's really, really difficult.
Yeah,
I think I probably will. I can tell that I'm going that way, honestly, because I do think that Millie Gibson's is cracking, doing a cracking job at it. She's making me feel bad for her, but and maybe it's just like I'm giving in because I know Coronation Street will keep on going until we all feel sorry for her. So I think, oh, fine, go on then. I don't know.
It's interesting on our Facebook group because people are coming around, I think, to
some are
to liking Kelly, but then other people are very, very entrenched.
I don't know whether it was somebody on our Facebook who made this meme this week. That I can't remember who it was that posted. I'm sorry, you know if it was you, but somebody posted a picture of Deirdre and Deb in bed, didn't they? Was it? I can't remember. You know the classic Deirdre beds Deb scene, and she's there lying with her fingers running through his chest hair,
gazing adoringly.
Yeah, and he's there going, "Oh no. I just slept with Deirdre Rashid," and there's a little caption on Deirdre saying, "Oh, what was it? I've lost the punchline."
Coronation Street.
Coronation Street trying to get me to like Kelly, and then next to the Dev there it just said like me or something. So
wow, great memeing.
There's a sizable number of Coronation Street viewers who are very, very against Kelly at the moment, and they will not be turned, will they? I just don't know whether they're ever going to be able to get everybody to forgive her. What I'm wondering at the moment, I mean, there was the homeless stuff as well. There was Pervy Hotel Man, which I think was, I thought that was fairly well done. I was quite creeped out by him. I was feeling a bit nervous for R. Kelly. I don't think we're going to see any more of him.
Sorry, Al. It was Al who posted it.
Found it. What did you think about the hotel man bit? I definitely felt that again. I was trying to be, have my opinion swayed. Did you enjoy those bits? Did you think it was effectively done?
Oh, it's quite interesting, wasn't it? And it was. Just you know that there's going to be a certain contingent of people going, well, she shouldn't have gone back to his room. What's she expecting?
It was quite creepy, and there were definitely It put you in mind of the Bethany story, didn't it?
Yes, it's very
unfortunately,
creepy.
The Bethany storyline was given a lot more time to breathe, and it played out over like weeks.
But it wasn't supposed to be a big deal. It was literally just supposed to demonstrate, like, look at all the things that can happen to a young.
How she has lowered herself.
Well, lowered herself. She didn't do anything. The thing is, he's the one who got his wallet stolen.
I wonder.
I don't think she ran away with it, but she.
Do you think that she went to the hotel room with the intention of stealing his wallet? Because it was very clear what he wanted from her.
I think she was just like, God, I don't know what else to do. What can I do? How I'll get out of it somehow, but I'm not sure yet. At the moment, I've got no choice. Like. Yeah, I don't think she was really thinking too far into the future here, which is...
She just needed to get her phone charged up. She'd do anything for that.
She's just a little girl, isn't she? I mean,
I know. She's 16.
Trying her best, and I still don't like her. But, you know.
I reckon. I wonder whether something's going to happen with Stu, because he was coughing quite a lot as well, wasn't he?
He definitely said, I've got something and it's not contagious, so he knows what's wrong with him. Has he got some kind of like lung cancer or something tragic that's going? Is he going to bequeath his tent upon
He was
her?
doing a good old sing just a couple of weeks ago, wasn't he, with his guitar, and he seemed fine then. So I don't know whether this is a newly acquired condition.
Yeah, has he got something from being homeless?
I don't know, but I'm wondering whether she's going to like save his life. Is she going to find him collapsed or something, and then she'll take him to the hospital, and we'll go, oh hooray, we all like Stu, and Kelly's just saved him. She couldn't save Seb, but she saved Stu, so we all forgive her.
I don't know.
Maybe. Because everyone loves Stu, don't they?
I thought I liked his little speech about people not really caring or looking at homeless people like they're real humans and stuff. And I think and I like Kelly's like, well, I didn't one time I didn't give a homeless man some money. And I'm like, there you go, proves that she's horrible. Proves it.
Well, I mean, what Kelly was saying is certainly something that we're all guilty of.
I don't think you can say we're all guilty of it, but I think majority of people
drop myself in it there.
Do not give homeless people money for various reasons, some of which are more well-intentioned than others.
Yeah. Well, look at Stu, and it's like he's got a mobile phone and a guitar. He must be doing all right.
You keep going on about homeless people having mobile phones as though they're not allowed to have them. It's basically an human essential thing to have a phone. And it kind of shows you, doesn't it, that a lot of people, you're not like born homeless. You become homeless, and one of the things that you can still keep is your phone.
Yeah, but as we found out from Kelly, chargers don't grow on trees.
Well, that's one of the things. That's why I thought it was quite an interesting thing. I think a lot of homeless people would say that it's a struggle to find somewhere to keep their phone charged up.
Yeah.
But I would be surprised if a homeless person didn't have a phone, and I would assume that somebody had stolen it from them if they didn't have one, because I think it's just a very essential thing.
Maybe
that lots of people have.
Just before we move on to the next story then, so what did you think about Dev agreeing to...
And also, just to say, being homeless isn't necessarily a permanent state of being. Some people become homeless and then they, find somewhere to stay.
Like Sean.
Sean just went, oh, okay, I don't want to be homeless anymore. And then they were like, oh, well, you should have said so earlier.
What did you think of Dev agreeing to let Kelly stay? I know it's a tough situation, but I think he probably should have still said no. I know he's desperate to get Ardy to, get some kind of forgiveness.
He really should not have let... No, it's not his responsibility, and it's not appropriate, and his children both have the right to feel safe in their own homes.
Yeah,
and
both of them do.
Yeah, if I was Asher, I wouldn't feel safe with Kelly being in my house.
And the fact that he said, oh, I didn't really think...
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he really should not have agreed to that. However much I know he's desperate because he wants Ardy to love him again.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
What does Kelly need?
Kelly needs to move. Kelly needs to go to a completely different city. She needs a social worker. I don't know why she doesn't have one on her case. Not on her case, but taking care of her. To go, or an advocate to go, there's no way this is appropriate. Let's get her somewhere else. Because, of course, she doesn't want to go and live with her foster parents because they literally, she gets harassed in the street.
Well, who was that person that she saw in the street the other week who told her, oh, you can't live here while Elsie's living here?
Well, no, it was the social worker. So where is she then? I thought it was the person that was in charge of their fostering, maybe it was actually foster liaison.
Yeah, no, she does really seem like she's just been thrown out with no lifeline, and I don't know, maybe that is how it happens.
But I don't like the fact that there's this series of misunderstandings and people not phoning each other up and assuming that she's staying somewhere where she isn't, and that's the only way. As soon as Imran and Toya find out that Kelly is living on the streets, they're gonna make her move in somewhere.
Yeah. And
honestly, I'm sure they've got enough resources to fund privately some bedsit for her somewhere. I'm sure that they could afford to pay for her private rent somewhere.
Yeah,
and I'm not surprised that she's being bullied at this place that she's staying at. I would imagine it's rife there, people being bullied for stuff like that and picked on. And
can you still be somebody's foster parent, but they not live with you?
I don't know.
And can
non-residential foster parent?
I mean, I don't even know what the rules are for how old you can be before you do live on your own. I mean, the fact that Kelly was living in these digs would suggest that it's fine for her to live on her own. Can you tell we're not parents?
We haven't really been taught anything about the situation. Like, I'm surprised that in this home that she was in, she was allowed to have RD sleep over.
I don't know that she was.
I don't understand why there isn't more security. We had more security in our bloody student accommodation than she seems to have, where you've got to sign guests in and out. I'm sure there would be something like that. There's no way they would let these children unsupervised have people sleep over in their rooms, and there'd be cameras everywhere. How did he get in?
Yeah,
I don't
the lack of security
honestly don't understand what this situation is.
Bit of a problem, bit of an inconsistency possibly. Right, Gemma, Johnny Goner.
But anyway,
I thought
let's just say like that.
This week.
Still not keen on Kelly. Still, I mean, I've been. I thought I said that I didn't think she'd done anything legally wrong, or if I did, I said she had been found not guilty of the things that she had been accused of. But I definitely think I said that she did do other things that required her to be punished, and that she didn't really get punished for them because she wasn't tried for that. She's tried for something different. And whatever the punishment is, it's debatable as to whether she should have gone inside for it, because I don't think you really logically make sense to say a girl slapped another girl and they're having an argument, so she could go to prison. It seems a bit harsh.
The prisons are a bit too full.
It just really sticks in my throat that she has kind of been let off the hook or vindicated for something that she did do.
Yeah, it comes down to how much you believe she did on the night, and we've seen it now.
Like it just feels like she hasn't acknowledged really, apart from to feel sorry for herself that people are mad at her about it, and to have this kind of like self-pitying crying session to say that she's sorry that it happened and stuff. I just don't really think that she's acknowledged anything she's done, and I don't think that Coronation Street's ever going to make her pay for it, apart from to have people not like her, and I can't really say I blame them particularly.
No, it'd be odd if she came out and everyone was cool.
And the other thing, I mean, did you say that one of the reasons why it's crazy that Dev's was going to let her stay is because he's literally paying for her mistakes?
No, I didn't say that actually, but that's very true.
He's literally paying for her mistakes.
Yeah, the keeping that video off the internet.
Why is Ardy not mad about this? Because Ardy was the one that wanted to spend the money that Dev is paying to this management reputation company to keep this Ash's video off the internet.
Yeah, that's true. If she hadn't put that video online,
she didn't put it online.
She had
disseminated it to people and she knew perfectly well that it was possible that it would get leaked online. And at the end of the day, I don't see that it makes a difference whether she put it on the internet or not, or she knew that it was going to get put on the internet or not. I think if I was Asha, I'd be just as mortified to have the video put on the internet and to have people that I know looking at it.
Yeah. Both
of those things are equally as bad as each other if you're a teen girl or anybody.
Yeah, so to have the video spreader being invited to come and stay in your home, no wonder Asha's
and I understand that children and teenagers have diminished mental capacity, and I don't mean that to be insulting if you're a teenager, but legally under the law, and like as far as brain development goes, you're still developing your brain up until the age of 25, I think. And if you don't believe me, come back when you're 25 and let me know what you think of yourself when you were 19 or whatever. But I understand that that's definitely an issue, but I think most teenagers don't do the things or make the mistakes that she's made.
No, I would hope not.
Well, there'd be more dead people. Right,
talking of dead people.
So yeah, sorry. I still don't really. I'm not sympathetic. And also the other thing I wanted to say was we had a very good discussion about because I said before about I think that a lot of people feel sorry for Kelly because she's pretty, and somebody on the Facebook group said, well, I could say the same thing the other way around, that the only reason that you don't like her is because she's so pretty. And there's definitely an element of that, and it's not jealousy particularly, but certainly I know that if you're an attractive woman, sometimes you get treated worse than other people because there's some kind of snobbery or what's the word, like a hatred against you because you seem like you've got it all, you know, you look like you're good looking, so people just take against you. And there's definitely an element of that too. It goes both ways. If you're attractive, it's like a double-edged sword. So yeah. Yes, the way that she looks affects positively and negatively the way people react to them, and the only thing you can do is be aware of it and wonder whether how you would feel if it was somebody who looked slightly different, and what your reaction would be then. Just an interesting thing to think about, I think, that's all.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Do you want me to talk about
I've tried to segue a couple of ways into this now, but you have come back with more interesting points. But if we're ready to move on and talk about Johnny Goner, are you ready for this one? Gemma, what happened with the story this week, please?
So, on Tuesday, Jenny's chivying Daisy to do work because she's just on her phone doing social media stuff.
Yes, this is establishing, look everybody, Daisy likes to put things on social media.
Daisy likes Instagram. What do you think Instagram's called in Weatherfield?
No, they call it Insta, didn't they? Just can't show it.
Daniel comes round to the pub to ask her to babysit, and Jenny's like, oh yes, she will. And Daisy finds out and she's a bit nervous, but she says she'll give it a shot. So she looks after Bertie around the back of the pub, and she keeps taking photos of them together and stuff. And Jenny says, "Oh, you and Daniel are going to make such a great couple." So they go to the cafe together later and have fun. And she's putting these photos online, and Adam comes in and he's like, "Well, I hope that you asked Daniel to put if you could put photos of him on the internet." And she's like, "I don't need to ask him. He won't mind. It doesn't matter, does it? It's just being silly." So Adam goes and tells Daniel, and Daniel's like, "Oh, not." He's a bit surprised, but not really that bothered. And Daniel says, "You should just keep your nose out because you obviously just don't like Daisy." But then he goes to pick Bertie up at the Rovers, and Daisy's like, "Look, I got 100 likes." Isn't it cute? And Daniel says, "Look, please don't use my son to get followers on Instagram." And she gets really offended. She's like, "Fine, I'll take it down. I'll just take it down. I don't care. I'm not doing it for the likes. What are you doing it for then?" She gets stressed out, and he hugs her and kisses her head. And then she says, I'm sorry I got upset, but it reminded me of when I used to play with Tom." And he forgives her. What? I don't get the connection. Like, it reminds me of my dead brother, like the time I took photos of him and Jenny told me to take them off.
No. She's just saying I was having a really good time with Bertie. It reminded me of when I used to enjoy playing with my little baby brother before he had his drowning incident.
To you putting photos of somebody's child on the internet without their permission.
That bit is, yeah.
That's why he was getting, like, why did she get offended about that?
I don't think they had social media when Tom died.
No. On Wednesday, Jenny, Daisy and Carla, it's the funeral. They're all standing in the graveyard, wanting to go into the church. And Jenny...
At a 1 metre distance.
Jenny, I thought Sally Ann Matthews was really good on Wednesday. She was excellent at that little mini panic that Jenny gets when she realises that she's got to do her speech and she suddenly starts to panic that she's not going to do it right. She goes, "Oh, I'm not going to do it right."
I thought she was great. She's always reliable, isn't she? I particularly like this week the stuff from, although the funeral was great as well, I really enjoyed today's scenes where she was in the Rovers with her darts, just having a sad lean against the booths there. I thought that was good. Good luck.
Daniel turns up at the funeral as well.
He turns up late, doesn't he, Daniel?
Daisy.
Does a bit of a handy-holdy.
That Carla does her speech and talks about how he's a hero and she wishes that she could have called him Dad for longer.
Johnny we're talking about, not Daniel.
and she's going to call him Dad for the rest of her days. And then she says, "Give a massive kiss to Aiden." Jenny's turn. She goes up and talks about how warm and loving he was, and he saved her life in so many ways, apart from the most literal time at the end where he sacrificed himself. She starts sobbing, and then Daisy rushes up to help, but then Jenny rejects her. Like, she's like, no, I'm going to do this. And she was a bit mean. But it wasn't about Daisy, it was about Jenny. So Daisy needs to get over herself.
Did you see that Sal put on her, I think it was on her Instagram a couple of days ago, that she had handwritten out her speech. So when she was reading it there, she was actually reading it from it. Oh, bless you. But I think she can read her own handwriting or something, I think she said.
Oh, right.
Yeah, if you want to see the speech, you go on Sal's Instagram and have a look.
I thought she did a really good job as well, Sal, of... sometimes when an actor has to act somebody reading something or performing, they over egg it and make it really bad or like really obvious or laborious. But I think she did a really good job of portraying somebody reading something out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like sometimes they do it in like a really sing-songy kind of elaborately overdone way, but she did it. I think she did a really good job. Anyway, so she talks about the fact that he taught her how to use the sewing machines, and she
doesn't talk about the bit where they bonked in the supply cupboard in the factory, did they? She misses that bit.
There's a lot of things she didn't bring up.
Do you remember the bit when we trapped Tracy in the cupboard as well?
Yeah,
Funny,
she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna die. My kidney's gonna get rejected." And then it's funny, wasn't it? Because that's happened to Carla. She's got no kidneys.
Do you remember that time me and Johnny went to Blackpool and my hair was blowing around all over the place?
Remember that time that kidney got run over by a tram? That was funny. Anyway, she says, "We both made big mistakes, but I hope he knew I loved him very, very much." They go back to the pub and toast Johnny. Jenny's just getting completely bladdered again, very slurry. Then she gets a phone call from the solicitor, who obviously is like, "Oh, I'll just wait for them to have the funeral and then I'll tell them about the will."
I think... if you believe, TV and films, and I don't know whether our experience was different, but on TV and films, people always find out about what was in the will right after the funeral, don't they? Go to the funeral, go to the will reading place, but in my experience, that's not been how it works.
I don't know. I've never been a surprise beneficiary of...
Sadly not, no.
No,
£20,000 though.
Yeah, she's the sole beneficiary of Johnny's immense
bin pizza,
great personal fortune, which has come to the princely sum of £20,000. Now, all this talk about
that seem
him,
like low to anybody?
Can I just say, like this is all this talk of him being a big businessman and how great he was at everything, and he's got 20. I mean, I'm not, lots of people don't have 20 grand at all when they die, but that must be after his funeral and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose
surely. Okay, go on.
Because he sold his bit of the Rovers, didn't he? I don't know how much he got for that. Obviously, the factory went a bit sour with him when the roof came off, so that probably cost him a few bob. But it felt like as a factory owning landlord, he should maybe have had more savings than that.
I'm not going to criticise people for not having savings. But
I blame
no
Kate.
assets
I think it's Kate's fault. I think she's still going to the bank of Dad.
This is what I'm confused about, because Carla gets her nose put out of joint, right? Jenny's surprised because she didn't expect to get anything. And she's like, well, Carla, Kate or Susie. Who's Susie?
Baby
Susie should get this money.
I breathe life into this baby.
I agree with her in a way, but didn't they already get stuff off of him when he was alive? How did Carla end up with the factory? I'm almost certain at some point all of these people, apart from the poor kid Susie, has been given so much money off of Johnny that he kind of probably thought, well, I've already given it to you and you're alive. I'm not going to give you any more.
I don't think it's unusual for somebody's money to go to their spouse rather than their children anyway. Well, even if they've only been married for a few years.
Well, it's a bit different when the spouse is not related to the children.
Yeah, I guess so.
But Kate, let's just examine this, shall we, for a second. This woman has never had a proper job in her life. She worked at the factory doing God knows what, like chief dungaree wearer, as far as I can see. She swans around doing nothing her entire life, and now she lives in Bali. I think that her dad's financed enough of her life
Gemma, she's really, really sorry that she couldn't make it to the funeral. No more information.
She's probably high on a beach.
Johnny has been dead for quite a while now. It's not like, got to have the funeral next day, can't make it because I'm living halfway across the world. She could
have been like, can you have it next week? Because I'll be free then. And everyone's like, no, we don't want you to come.
He's been stone cold for like 3-4 weeks now at least. She probably could have had time to prepare, but they didn't go into it.
She probably didn't even read the text probably. She'd be like, oh, Dad wants me to come home for dinner or something. I'll just say I can't be.
I was wondering whether she was going to come back. And I think I might have seen something online that suggested that she would be back for the funeral. And I might have misread it, or I don't know whether it was a rumour or what. So I actually went into Wednesday's episode thinking that we might get a surprise reappearance from Kate. I did. So fortunately not. But we got Faye and Ray this week, didn't we? Can't have them all
so many people we can cope with at once. Jenny accuses Daisy of wanting to get her hands on Johnny's money when Daisy tells her that she should keep it because that's why she got left it, because Johnny wanted her to have it. And she's like, oh, you just want it. Also,
this is when Jenny's lounging drunkenly on the sofa.
She's so good. She's like, yeah, and want Daniel because you can have his money in his house.
we talked to Sal and I talked about her drunk acting.
She's great, really good. Can I just also
and the fact
say
that it's always so over the top as well.
I also thought it was really good that she managed to do some very dramatic scenes without changing really her drunk acting, but it still it worked for the dramatic scenes as well as the funny ones, you know. And she didn't change the way she performed the lines, which would have been an easier way of kind of making it a bit more serious, you know. She calls us shameless. She says she's a gold digger and she's only using Bertie for her Insta follows. Daisy's like, fine, walks off. Daisy finds Daniel on the street and says, oh, Jenny's been mean to me, and Daniel says, I don't care, families, we should just make this a secret so that nobody knows we're dating, which is like, okay, for God's sake.
Soap operas, eh?
What a stupid...
They talk about Romeo and Juliet, don't they? They're going to do a bit of Montague Capulet thing without the double suicide at the end, yeah.
And without being like 15 or whatever, however old they were. Later on, Jenny is still knocking back the Fino and telling Carla that she wants her to have the money. Carla's a bit miffed off that she didn't get any money. And Jenny keeps digging herself into a hole going, well, maybe it's because you didn't bond with each other because you didn't really know he was your dad for so long.
Jenny had a couple of foot-in-mouth instances this week, didn't she? What was it? I can't remember. She said something today and then she's like, sorry.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was. Daisy comes in to try to talk to her, but she says, leave me alone. So on Friday... Daisy is leaning very heavily into this subterfuge by dressing up like an international woman of mystery with a big black sunglasses on and a trench coat. And he's like, I think you're being a bit obvious at this. And she's like, oh, I just put it on when I came in as a joke. And she's so funny, isn't she, Daniel? They're going to continue to pretend that they've split up and date in secret. Then we see Jenny in the bar in the Rovers. She is hungover and sad, and she doesn't really remember anything about yesterday. Daisy doesn't bring it up, what she said to her. And then Jenny says she starts reminiscing about Johnny and how they used to play darts together. Then Daniel comes in. Oh, it's about the farting. Daniel comes in and says, we split up, me and Daisy split up. And, Jenny's like, oh, what, because of all the farting? Because she saw these vegetables. And Daniel's like, no. And Daisy...
She says it's because of the green smoothies or something.
That's right, yeah. And Daisy says, thanks. And then Daniel's like, no, it's the toenail thing. And then Jenny stares at her feet, and she's like, and Daniel's saying, "Oh, she can't help it."
That was funny. I did.
It was
enjoy
really
that.
funny. And Daisy gets her nose put out of joint. So when this new county striker comes in, Jenny tries to hook them up, her and Daisy. Daisy takes her up on it to make Daniel jealous. So they go off to the together to sit. And Daniel gets really jealous. He goes home and Googles him and says he's number 2. He's like, oh,
yeah. Does
his shirt number 10 refer to his something, or his...
He says, is it his shirt number or is it his IQ?
Yeah, and she's
And
like,
then
how do you know? How do you know what his shirt number is? He's like, oh, strikers are number 10. I'm like, are they? I don't know.
I loved how then she called him out on that by saying, oh, where did I can't even name another position in football.
No, I don't. I don't even know that what she said was even a real position.
I don't know. But it fooled me. He hasn't got a clue. He's clearly been jealously Googling
He says,
this,
well, I'm allowed to Google people my girlfriend are talking to. And she's like, oh, girlfriend, am I your girlfriend? And he's like, oh, maybe. And then they kiss each other. Wow.
I quite enjoyed
I'm
this.
still
I'm definitely warming up to the idea of Daisy and Daniel
But
together.
I'm really still suspicious because she only fancied him. Are we supposed to forget this?
Well, no, but I don't think we're supposed to forget it. I thought I would have said yes, but Jenny mentioned it this week, didn't she? She said about the house this week. I'm pretty sure she mentioned that when she was calling her a gold digger.
Because when she found out,
I think it started off like that. But
she fancied Ryan, and then she went off Ryan, and as soon as she found out Daniel...
After she date raped him.
Yeah. As soon as she found out that Daniel had a house, she was like, Daniel, And then she pursued him, and now it's supposed to be like, it's okay that she wanted to go out with him because he's rich, because she actually likes him as well.
I think that, yeah, that was the initial draw for sure, but she's realising that he is actually a stand-up, decent chap. And this is probably, at the moment, this is the most I've ever liked Daisy, seeing that she has got a bit of a softer side to her. And then this is one of the other things that I was talking about Sal this week, and she was saying, oh, Mikey, you always say that everybody should be nice all the time. What would life be like? What would soap be like if everyone was just nice? You can't have that. But I just want Daisy to be not as one-dimensional as I still feel that she's been for the majority of the past 12 months. And seeing her kind of go a little bit gooey over Daniel this week has been, yeah, okay. I will now accept her bitchiness if we also get to see that she's a real person underneath there as well, you know, with human feelings. So I'm for this romance at the moment. I think it could be quite good. I still don't know. I can see what Adam's saying about the fact that they're not suited for each other, and he needs to be very careful and watch himself. And I think probably he will end up getting his heart broken by her. But for the time being, yeah, I'm for this. What about you?
I don't like them together at all. I think they're really unsuited. I really like Daisy because she isn't nice all the time, and you know, I'm on Sal's side here about you can't have everyone nice all the time. Daisy's fun because she's disruptive.
That's part of what made her fun, but as I say, it was also what made her quite one-dimensional to me. I think that the stuff with Bertie was quite cute this week as well, when she was playing around with him.
I'm surprised that Daniel was okay. Like, I know he told her off and everything, she got offended. I'm surprised that he didn't say, hang on a minute, you can't get offended at me telling you you're not allowed to put a photo of my child on the internet.
Yeah, she probably should have thought about that. I think it is
it's really rude.
Widely accepted that maybe doing that with other people's kids isn't the done thing at the moment. Hasn't she heard of GDPR?
I think, yeah, I would never do that. And also, why is she getting likes for having a kid? There's obviously something I'm missing.
People like anything cute, and we have said that Bertie is quite a cutie in the past, haven't we?
If she had a puppy, I'd be like, yes, I can completely understand this. But I don't understand. Yeah. Yeah,
no, she probably shouldn't have done that. But I found one of the things that was interesting with the Bertie, and somebody again said this on Facebook. I read a theory that maybe Daisy had something to do with Tom's death, and they're going to be kind of retconning her into being the cause of her brother's drowning, because she seemed a little bit nervous about the idea of babysitting at the beginning of the week, which you kind of would if you were babysitting your kid brother and then he drowns himself. And there were possible signs of that happening if they decide they're going to go down that route. What do you reckon? What do you think of that theory?
How would it go?
Well, just that Jenny... Does Jenny... I can't remember exactly.
Jenny blames
herself. She blame herself. She says she wasn't... She was supposed to be minding Tom, but...
He drowned in a pool.
Yeah. And obviously when that was all written, the character of Daisy doesn't exist. But I guess they're going to write it well, if they do go down this route, it'd be or Jenny was there and so was Daisy. The thing is,
Daisy's not
Daisy,
old enough.
No, she would have been a young girl back then, wouldn't she?
She's not old enough to be responsible.
No, I'm imagining. I can't remember whether we've got a date for all this happening, but whether is it early 2000s or even in like late 90s maybe. I've kind of lost track a little bit. But yeah, I wonder whether young Daisy accidentally did this, and that would screw you up.
I don't think it was that long ago, because I think that didn't Jenny say something about
I can't remember
a birthday date of significance to Jack?
Oh yeah, they did, didn't they? Yeah, when
it would have been his birthday or something, or he was.
Yeah.
He never got to be 5 or something.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's not that long ago, but Daisy's not that old either.
No. So I think that could be quite interesting. Loath as I am to, have these not really retcons, but retcons in Coronation Street.
But wouldn't Jenny know?
Not necessarily. For all she knows, I mean, she was there looking after Tom and Daisy.
Like, what, are you trying to say that Daisy drowned Tom in a pool?
They were actually just playing with him,
Just holding his head under water to see the pretty bubbles.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's an idea. I like the idea of that theory. Quite possible. We'll have to wait and see for that one.
Okay. It depends on how.
She definitely had a bit of a look. Although maybe, to be honest, if I had killed my little brother accidentally, I'd be a little bit more than just hesitant to do the babysitting, but then once I did it, I'd be okay with it. I think I couldn't bring myself to do anything with kids. But it also, it ties into the whole battery swallowing thing with Bertie as well, doesn't it? And why would this have been a reason why she did that paediatric first aid course? I don't know, because maybe she couldn't save her brother. I don't know. Just an idea.
Interesting idea.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, right. Let's move on to the Tashes to Ashes summer crush story then. And what have we got with this week? Oh, sorry, I just for some reason scrolled away from my notes. And it's Sam being silent. Okay, so Tuesday then. This has got using Max and everything as well. So he's got this science project due, and he doesn't really want to do it. But David said, "Well, tough, you need to." So Max says, "Why don't you do it then?" He's still being a massive arse, isn't he? A very disrespectful young scallywag this week.
He's a naughty scamp.
I like that last scene of the movie where he goes for the punch with David.
I know.
Bit of a rubbish one. But anyway. So David sees Summer in the cafe later and says, "Look, can you help Max out with this science project thing at lunchtime? He always seems to be so much more focused when you're helping him out." So later, Summer's round with Max. They're sitting at the kitchen table or something, and they've done their science project. And he's saying, "Oh, it's always so much easier when then you're helping me." So he's massively crushing on her as well. And he also tells her about this film project that he's working on. And I got the completely wrong idea of this. I thought that he was going to be making some kind of weird pervy summer video of candid summer shots or something like that, or like a romance, or isn't summer beautiful, that sort of thing. Did you think it was going that way?
I don't know what I thought, honestly. I don't know, because
it was clearly, when he mentions it, alarm bells are ringing that he's doing something a bit weird here. But what he actually does, I quite enjoyed when we get to see that on Friday. Yeah, that's what I thought anyway. And so he's having a great day on Tuesday. Then we have got... I've just lost my flipping place in my notes again. What's going on with my... filling the air. Gemma, say something funny to fill the air.
No.
Thank you very much. So Wednesday then, we're back. It's more the Sam and Nick stuff before they converge on Friday. They're at the bistro. Sam's still not said anything. He's going on, 3-4 weeks now being mute. Every time Jude Jordan picks up his script, it's like, yeah, another week where I don't have to learn any lines. Could be worse. How does he manage to be so compelling and sort of so lovable, and everybody thinks he's doing amazingly with absolutely no lines to say? Maybe they should have a silent episode of Coronation Street. Has a soap ever done that before? You know, they like their special themed episodes, like your backwards episodes and your musical episodes. And what if there was an episode where nobody spoke? Maybe after Ken dies, they can all go through a period of mourning like this. Again, just a thought.
I'm just trying to channel his spirit, and it doesn't work on you. You just
Come on, Gemma, say something.
You're like,
say something.
Brilliant, she's not speaking, I can carry on.
Right, Nick tells Sam they're going to move back to the flat, which might seem scary, son, but you got all your family to support you, so it's going to be okay. No response from Sam. Nick's like, if you're happy with me, for me to go move back into the flat with you, where your mum was brutally murdered and there's still a bit of a stain on the floor, don't say anything. Any
objections?
Any objections, Sam? No, you got your chance. Super. So Sam's probably just like waving and going,
no.
And Leanne says he's not trying to communicate there. He wouldn't communicate. He doesn't communicate in any way. You're misinterpreting. No, Leanne says to Nick, look, maybe we should move somewhere new. And Nick says no. That place has Ollie memories for you there. So that's the excuse that they have to go back there. And then we have a scene where Max massively puts his foot in it, doesn't he? Do you remember? They're waiting outside the flat, and Max is like, "Oh, have they cleaned up after you know what in the flat?" And David's reaction is great because he can't believe what Max is saying. He's just stunned that anybody could be so insensitive. This is probably the sort of thing I'd say, to be honest, isn't it? And he says, "Max, shut up." Gives him a massive talking to, and he goes when Nick and Co go upstairs. So they go up into the flat. Sam's definitely seems to be struggling about being there, and but Nick says he'll be okay, just give him a bit of time. She's got a plan, and the idea is a mummy memory jar. So what?
This was a nice idea.
I thought it was a lovely idea. I'm not surprised that Sam's go-to reaction to anything at the moment is to walk off to his room where he goes and kind of reflects on it, I suppose. But yeah, the idea is that he's got his little jar, and if he wants to say something to his mum, he writes a note and pops it inside.
I thought it was memories of what they had done, or things they'd done together.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Well, it says mummy memory jar, not mummy communication tin.
I thought that it was a message to mum. I don't remember.
I'm sure that he knows what he's doing. He's a bright kid. He was probably listening.
Yeah,
like
whatever it is. It's
do what you want
sweet.
with it. We don't care, Sam.
It's pretty sweet because he goes off. He's quite rude actually when they say, "Here's a
rude.
jar. You can put stuff in it, whatever." And he just walks off to the bedroom. But then at the end of the episode, Nick and Leanne are having another chat about the whole situation, and little Sam comes round the corner and he puts something in the jar and then goes back to his room again. And me and you were both like, "Oh, when he did that, weren't we?" That was so sweet. I am loving this at the moment. I think I want to know what the people who because there were definitely some Corrie viewers who were getting a bit tired of Sam, weren't they? They were thinking he was being a bit too full on and too much. And I think even I was saying a little bit they need to be very careful because it feels like every time he opens his mouth it looks like the Coronation Street scriptwriters have opened up an encyclopedia page and are just copying from that.
Did you know?
And I've had none of that problem ever since he started talking.
Did you know that Salvador Dali designed the Chupa Chups logo?
I did know that.
Did you know that before I told you?
No,
I read this on Reddit on the Coronation Street subreddit earlier. It was funny.
Yeah, he's just got facts about everything, including
I've
lollipops.
also been killing him not to tell Lily this as she was choking to death.
Spoiler alert for Gemma.
Oh, sorry.
Friday, Max has he decides that I want to go and do a bit of babysitting for Sam. He pretends that he wants to go and hang out with him, and maybe he's going to be able to get him to open up.
He wants to film where the
we don't know at the time that's what he wants, and it's also quite good for him because he gets to offer this in front of Summer, so he's looking like aren't I so lovely and sensitive in front of his crush. So Nick brings home a telescope from somewhere or other. I can't remember. I didn't hear where that was. So that they can do some stargazing out on the balcony. I don't know why there isn't just one there anyway all the time, but never mind. So Sam's not interested. He just goes straight to his bedroom again. Massive fail there, Nick. And then Max is later on talking to Summer, saying I handed him a science project. Oh no, that was earlier. I'm all mixed up. This is where I've even moved my notes all around because the storylines have converged. Sorry. So Daniel notices Max is doing a lot of selfies, doesn't he? And he's doing it well. He's doing a bit of selfieing. He's doing a bit of filming, clearly for this film project, whatever it is. And there's a bit where was it Debbie and David were talking about the sinkhole, and Max is there being very skulky and suspicious around the door where he's filming this conversation. And we later find out what this is all about. We had Lily. This is Lily's biggest episode yet, wasn't it?
Yes.
I think she had more lines in tonight's episode than she's ever had in however many years of the show that she's been in it. But she thinks that Sam is just being stupid, not speaking. And Max says, he can't control it. He just, that's just the way he is. And Lily's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So that was it. She was easily convinced of that.
Well, no, she wasn't.
She wasn't, but it seemed like she was at the time.
He's not going to argue. I'm not going to argue with him about it. Smart girl.
Yes. So
Don't
this
bother
is when we
talking
get to find out
silly
what
boys
Max's
about
film project was, because he sent a copy of this to Summer thinking
it's a
that she's
trailer.
going to go weak at the knees for this. It's a little the video about the sinkhole. It's this massive conspiracy theory thing, isn't it? It's kind of names and shames Harvey Gaskell. It's got Johnny, Hero,
Natasha, tragic.
Yeah, and then it's
which is a bit rude.
Big thanks to Summer Spellman for all her help at the end of it. She's like the one and only credit, his one true love, Summer, and she's a
bit annoyed
by this,
off.
a bit taken aback, because she seems to think that if this video gets out, she's not going to get to Oxford.
Well, she's
I kind of thought this was a bit of an overreaction. It's just like a little film that's been made.
Right, number one, I don't think it's going to go viral to the extent that it reaches Oxford or Cambridge. And number two, you can't control what other people put on the internet about you.
And I think if I was an Oxford, what's it called, entrance woman
well,
or
you
man.
should know that
my aunt does do this job. Not at Oxford, at Bath. They read the UCAS forms. Admissions officer, that's right. If I was one of those, I'd kind of understand that, a 14, how old's Max, 14, 15, might do something like that, and it doesn't mean that you're not Oxford material. I honestly, I thought that she was massively overreacting to this. In fact, I thought everybody was, because he's put it online, and for a lot of the rest of the episode, as people find out, they drag him through the coals for it, and it's just, and I was just thinking, it's quite a good project, really.
Yeah, but it's not. It's about people that they know that died, and it's a bit in bad taste. But I thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was great, and I thought the video itself was really well done. It was badly done. It looked like a shoddily put together film project, and I have to say that I teach children 4 or 5 years younger than Max, and I think some of them could do a bit of a better job than he did. But as a video that was supposed to look, thrown together by a teenager who's probably not particularly literate in this kind of this thing, I thought it was really, really good job. So well done to whoever at Coronation Street behind the scenes did that.
I also like the way that he formatted it for watching on phones. By making
he does it himself these days.
Well, he did it on his laptop.
I think we need to employ Daisy and Max as our social media managers for the podcast.
I want
Think
Max
of all
to
the
make
likes we'd
trailers
get.
for us.
I thought that the dialogue that he was using was great. He had a good script for it. It's just some of the film itself looked a bit naff. But anyway, so Summer's miffed off about this.
She's like,
Meanwhile, we cut back to the flat, Nick and Leanne's flat, where Max is kind of wondering out aloud where Natasha was shot. Sam's gone off to the bedroom or something at this point. No, he's not. No, he's there. That's right. Max is talking to Lily about it, and then Sam comes in, and Max is like, "Oh, do you fancy being in the next part of my film?" Which basically involves Sam sitting silently at the table with his mummy memory jar. I'm going to say mummy memory jar at these points. I know I am. What was it?
Said it now.
What was it that Bernie said about her boobs earlier this?
Children love them.
Yeah, they love her maternal breasts, don't they?
I don't. I've never had that problem with children. So
They're not swarming to you.
No, they don't.
I think you're giving us a bit away about yourself there, Gemma. Anyway, so he's sitting there with his mummy memory jar, not saying anything, obviously. I don't know what Max expected here, to be honest, but he's saying, what was it like when your mum died? How did it make you feel? Did it make you feel sad? Because he's going to go on his film, obviously. But then when Nick comes home, Max stops because he realises he probably shouldn't be doing this. Summer storms in as well and has a go at Max for making this trashy video, she calls it, and also for pretending to care about Sam. That was really what Max should be berated for, I think, at this point, for pretending that he's being sympathetic to his cousin, brother, best relative. I don't know what they are at the moment. She says, "What will Oxford say when they found out? I want my name off the video now, and if you got any sense, you'll delete it." I don't think it's possible to take the video down without deleting it. I don't think it's possible to take the name off the video, without deleting it.
No, I agree with you.
You got to delete it and then decide whether you're going to put it back up again without the name. But anyway, Nick also overhears what's going on, and partly he overhears that Summer's mad at him, but Max won't say why. So they all go off somewhere. Nick buggers off again. Max also swans off by himself, just leaving Lily in the flat with Max. And Lily's a bit of an arse, isn't she, as well? What does this say about David's parenting skills, that he's raising a couple of psychos here? But Lily locks Sam out on the balcony, Nick and Imran style, if you remember that scene, and starts calling his mutism silly. And then she starts doing a little dance, which is Max and Summer sitting in the bath. Was she saying sitting in the bath? Max and Summer sitting in the bath. And then she does a little dance. I think she's trying to make him laugh, wasn't she? She was trying to get him to say something or show some reaction, because he's just stony faced to everything at the moment.
I don't really think that she was being a bit malicious here, but not, well,
it
not
felt
too
like
mean.
Malicious at first, and then when she started doing the dance, I thought, she's just trying to help in her own
she's
weird
trying
way.
to help, but in a kind of a very, because she's the older child here, isn't she? And
Lily? I don't
she's
think
older
so.
than Sam.
Is she? I don't know. I'd say it was the other way around.
Oh. How old is Sam supposed to be?
Sam's in year 6 at the moment, so he's like 11.
Absolutely nothing to me.
Sam's older than she
I thought
is.
Sam was like 6.
What? You thought Sam was 6?
I don't know.
I told you about this last week on the podcast. I said he's in his stats this year.
What?
He'll be in big school next year.
He's so small.
Yeah, I know.
What's his name?
Jude Jordan. Let me look. You were talking. Do you want me to do a bit of age Googling here?
Oh.
Look, give it to me.
How old are they?
I'll find this out. You were probably going to say something very important there.
Yeah, but it depends on how old they were, because but the thing is, because okay, it doesn't really matter whether she's younger than him or not, but when a kid like Lily has been used to being bossed around by an older brother or sister, like she would have been by Max, when she's got the opportunity to kind of parent another child in a way, she's just taken it, hasn't she?
Right, Sam was born in 2011. Keep talking.
So I don't think she's being a bit mean, but only in a very childish kind of, I'm gonna give you a bit of tough love here kind of a way. You know what I mean? I don't think that she's trying to hurt him.
Lily was born August 2013, so she's 2.5 years younger than him.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
She looks old. I don't understand children.
Anyway, she chokes on a lolly, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She spends the whole episode eating, that girl, and she's there with a lolly in her mouth, and she gets a taste of her medicine. No, that's not right.
No,
serves her right. Don't do a dance with a lolly in your mouth. And she ends up choking it. And I like I said, before today, I wasn't a massive fan of Lily, but there wasn't much to be a fan of. She was just one of these children who's there in the background. But I thought she did a pretty decent job today. And her choking acting, I thought, was quite good as well.
Because not only did she act that she was choking, but she had to act out swallowing the lollipop. And then starting to choke, and she did a very good job. It was a very, very difficult thing to pull off.
Yeah.
Maybe they just choked her.
Fortunately for Lily, George and Roy are alerted by the sound of a tumbling telescope on the cobbles later. They rush upstairs to the flat. Don't ask how they got in. So Roy does his Heimlichen on Lily, and then he's pretty mad at Sam for not calling out, and George has to say, just need to tell you, Roy's not spoken for about 3 weeks. Hand him in bliss.
I think that George was conflicted here, because on the one hand he doesn't want to see a child die, but on the other hand Roy is basically snatching money from his
I know.
children's mouths
Think
here.
how much you get for a little child funeral. Think of all the flowers. Oh no, the flowers he don't go through him, does he?
No, but well, I think sometimes they do sell them, don't they?
Maybe.
So George is like, look, Roy, I know that you're a hero and everything, but that's money.
Stop saving people from dying.
Everyone's got to die at some point.
Yeah, it's my lifeblood, Dad.
Exactly.
Anyway, so that Roy goes off and he has a bit of a strop at who does he have a strop
Carla.
at later? Carla, because she's still miffed that she's not getting any money from the will, and he's like, oh, some people don't have a parent to get money from. What? And
I don't get what he was mad about here. I was thinking,
I was a
is
bit
he mad
confused.
about Nina?
My first thought when Roy said this was, my mum didn't leave me anything. My dad I never knew. I think, or whatever the story is there. He was estranged at least, and my mum was useless.
But I think Carla's got every right to complain about. I would be the same if I was her.
Yeah.
It's not that she didn't get left anything. It's that she doesn't know why she didn't, and there was stuff to be left. It's not like she's not. I don't think she's materialistic. I think it's literally just why did my dad not even think about me? I'll never know.
I don't know. Anyway, I think that Roy later says he was thinking of all the motherless children on the street, like Sam. I think, but didn't Natasha leave him anything?
I assume that Sam's been left.
I think I missed something
big
obvious there.
Chunk of cash.
Did you write and tell me what I missed?
I think I missed it too because I didn't get what he's.
Anyway, Lily gets wheeled into an ambulance, even though she's fine.
I don't think that they just go, oh, it's fine. I think it's good that she gets checked over.
Yeah. But Nick and Max and David are all kind of watching her get in there because Nick finds Max skulking under the bridge, doesn't it? Under the Rosamond Street Ginnell.
Then there's a debate about the telescope.
Yes. Nick says, wasn't it good that he dropped his telescope? That was the way of him communicating to us, so that at least that's something. And Leanne says, no, I don't think he'd drop it intentionally. Not because it's a telescope and he loves space and everything, but because that's
mute.
Communicating. And if you're mute, you don't want to communicate in any way,
It's
even
not
if
that.
it's dropping a telescope over the edge of it.
It's not that you don't want to, it's that you can't.
You can't. Yeah. I don't know.
And
then they kind of say, but so he would have literally stood there and watched his cousin die.
Yes.
I don't know. I
thought this was a bit of a weird conversation.
I thought it was a weird conversation, and I thought it was strange how it was never resolved at the end of the episode. So did he drop it or not? Are we supposed to be... Is this going to be the report? Did Sam drop the telescope or not?
Are we going to go through the rest? We will talk about it in a minute.
Okay. So, we see Nick having a go at Max about the video. Roy's worried about poor motherless Sam, and also it's been playing on his mind about where this gun came from that shot Natasha, and he's still convinced that it could very well be Abby's gun, but Nina's saying, no, don't worry about it, I'm sure it's not, because she's trying to deflect blame on Abby and herself or something, I can't remember, but she doesn't want him to worry about that. So we see Summer seeing David giving Max a right telling off in the street, and then the end of the episode, David is going to confiscate Max's handheld games thingy. And I don't know what the writers were talking about with David this week, but 2 times in this week's Coronation Street, David seems oblivious to what video games are, which I completely don't believe, because he's been a bit of a gamer himself in the past.
Yeah, but he also says...
Do you forget what video games are? Well, I know it's a dad thing to say, but we're now entering the generation where dads and mums grew up on video games themselves. So the trope of parents not knowing anything about technology or what their kids are getting up to is, not quite so relevant or accurate as it once was. So the fact,
He also references them playing a game together.
Yeah, he did as well, didn't they? So I don't know. Yeah, that was a bit of a weird one. I didn't agree with that. But yeah, it was. But I also pointed out to you that they didn't call his Switch a Switch,
yes,
but they do call Jack's Xbox an Xbox. So is there some kind of
shady Microsoft
yeah,
deal?
exactly,
Bill Gates funneling all of his cash.
I could totally imagine Nintendo saying, "No, you're not allowed to mention our product on your."
I can bloody imagine it as well.
Anyway, so this is where Max takes a swing for David, misses him,
Yeah, because David's like, go upstairs, do what you're told, and he's like, no, you can't make me. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And then
Goes
Max
to punch
is like,
him
well, I'll
and then
punch you.
stomps upstairs. That was quite cool. That came out of nowhere.
Well, I mean, to be honest,
Can you believe this Max is the same sweet little Max that was singing Christmas songs and doing a wedding reenactment just last Christmas?
No.
But oh well. They got to grow up sometime, haven't they?
Well, this is what David was like. Said to Shona, did you see that? Did you see what he just tried to do? And then he should have said, ever since this kid's been recast, he's been a nightmare.
I wonder whether they would have Max push David down the stairs.
Oh, wow.
That would be getting a taste of your own medicine.
I kind of want him to talk to Gail and be like, oh, I can't believe Max tried to hit me. And Gail be like, yeah, can you imagine your own child trying to hurt you?
That would be quite interesting. Like, or even just have Max calling David. Yeah. In the same way that he has been disrespectfully calling his mum Gail all this time, and then he's going to kind of realise
what he's done. Yeah. That's really good. I'd love that. That's very good. This is why soaps are so interesting.
Yeah, because you get to see these
you can have
characters
generations
like
of families just screwing everything over.
Well, Gail's totally turned into Ivy, as we know, hasn't she? In some ways.
Apart from she didn't really like the Pope.
No, not so much. Okay, so what Sam then? Should we be worried about him? Would he have stayed there and watched his cousin choke to death?
I thought I was confused here because I feel as though we're missing the PSA, aren't we? Where's I wanted Dr. Gaddis. Have I missed something? Has Dr. Gaddis done a speech about what mutism is?
No, we're having to piece it together ourselves.
Because I feel like it's missing from this conversation because now I don't know a lot about it. It used to be called, there's different types. It used to be called elective mutism and then selective mutism, but what he has is just mutism because... I
don't even know whether that's what it is. Has it actually been called that, or is it just he's not talking?
No, it hasn't. And I was not under the impression until today that we were supposed to be taking this as like a proper serious sort of psychological issue that he's got. I was like, so what is it? Is he just sulking, or is he being
just in
rude, or I don't is it just dramatic soap thing that he's doing?
Just being dramatic. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like I looked it up and it's very serious, isn't it? And it's very misunderstood. Does it seem to be something that gets triggered by bereavement? I don't know. I assume it didn't really talk about triggers, but it's not something. It's very misunderstood, and I don't think Coronation Street is at the moment helping to aid in understanding of this condition. But you have to give them time because they might be building up the ignorance in the characters to then combat it later, which you got to give him space to be able to do that. But the idea that he's communicating or not, that is not right. This idea that Leanne's saying, no, somebody who's got mutism will never communicate under any circumstances with anybody in any manner whatsoever. That's not right, isn't it? Have you looked at it as that? Mutism is where you physically cannot bring yourself to speak. You can't. It's not like you're choosing not to. That's why it used to be called selective, and now it's elective, and now it's called selective, because you're not electing not to speak. But there are different levels of it, which is why it's called selective mutism. Because some children, it's usually children, can speak in the presence of different people, and there are different triggers, like the situational triggers or people. Like some children can only speak in front of their friends, some can only speak in front of their parents. Yeah, I've taught a child who in the past. Are you allowed to talk about this? Yeah. I've known a child who in the past has had that condition, but by the time she's come up to me, she was talking. She came across as being quite shy, and she didn't talk much, but you wouldn't have ever known. So that's the most experience that I've got with that. Yeah, you just physically can't do it. It's not like you're choosing not to, but you can you can communicate in other ways. Yeah. So it's not what Leanne said isn't right. It would have been possible for Sam to have been mute and still communicated using, like, sometimes you might move your hand or nod your head or write stuff. That's perfectly. Put it in a jar. Acceptable. If this jar
the mummy memory jar is writing messages to heaven, then that's a form of communication, isn't it? Or even putting a memory in the jar. If it was just this is a memory,
I mean,
that's a form of communication.
At the very most basic level, making eye contact when somebody's talking to you is communication.
Yeah. I'd be fascinated to know what's inside Sam's head at the moment, because he is so, bright for his age. What's he thinking? Is he thinking, I can't do it? Is he thinking, I've started this now, I need to carry on? People have speculated on the fact whether he's on the autistic spectrum or whatever. Is it a case that this is just what I do now and I absolutely can't get out of this because, that's my...
It's awkward, I can't talk now because people make a big deal about it.
Yeah, he must be thinking all the time, because he's not looking, he's feeling a little bit expressionless maybe, but he's not looking like dead behind the eyes or anything, I would say. I can't wait for him to start talking again, just so that he can talk about his experiences. And it makes me wonder what's going to make him talk again, because there's going to be some trigger in the end, isn't there? Is it going to be that there's a similar situation to this where he has to talk, or is it just finding the right person to talk to? I found it very tantalising the fact that Roy was the one to go up there and rescue Lily, because I think that Roy and Sam would get on like a house on fire. Throw in Fergus for good measure, and it'd be like Ena, Minnie and Martha again. I tell you, it's the new trio of the cafe, maybe. So yeah, maybe he just needs the right person to talk to and open up to, and I do think that Roy could be the one. Like when you've just been having a look at selective mutism.
Looking it up, it's like
NHS.
You've got to be careful, because if you don't treat it, it can persist. And it's just saying like it's it's basically you're panicking and you can't physically speak. And apparently the incidence is some around 1 in 140 children.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
But it says, so selective mutism, you can says more confident children with selective mutism can use gestures. For example, they may nod or shake their heads, but more severely affected children tend to avoid any form of communication.
Oh, there we go. Well, that's...
spoken, written, or gestured. I know, but the way that Leanne spoke about it, it made it sound as though he's like... He can't like he's got some disease that prevents him from communicating, and that's not what is wrong with him. And it is possible for him to have used that as a way of trying to get attention. But
they have said that they're very concerned about how severe it's going, because he could have seen Lily.
This is the point. It just was clumsily depicted in the show that if this has got to the stage where he's so unable to speak that. And the way they said it, he'd rather watch his cousin die than speak. No, he just can't do it. He can't physically do it. It's difficult to understand, but you have to accept that he physically cannot speak or communicate. That's just a fact.
Yeah. I think we made this happen because we had Lily killed off in Squid Game episode last week.
Yeah. I think
everyone who died in that episode is going to gradually,
just
one by one, be picked off or have near-death experiences at least. Apart from Aggie.
Yeah. Well, maybe we brought it on him by saying, better be careful, say too many facts and people will go right off you. Yeah. So like, right, that's all right, fine then, we won't say anything. How'd you like that?
Right, let's move on. The Tyler Swift story. I think this is you. This was one of the one of the B or C stories this week. I thought it was fine. It wasn't, it wasn't supposed to be the main draw of the week. But
I thought this was dull.
I didn't.
Well, good for you. Congratulations. On Tuesday, Tyrone is telling Fizz about this not a date he's got with...
Not a date,
what's
just
her
going
name?
for lunch.
Isla.
Like the Isle of Wight.
Yes, that's right. Fizz and Maria chat in the cafe, and Fizz is trying to explain why she's cautious about this pairing. And Maria's like, I think you're just a bit jealous. And then Tyrone tells Kev about what Fizz has said. And Kev's like, it's none of her business. You shouldn't cancel. You should not listen to her. It's like, right, Tyrone, just can I stop you? Never ask Kevin for love advice. He's the one out of everybody who's probably worse than you are. It's like watching two idiots talking about physics. watching Tyrone and Kevin talking about how to handle women.
Well, it's more chemistry, I would say, then.
Really. Tyrone composes a text with a little white line about why he can't see her, and then Fizz comes up and says, "No, it's your business. Don't let me stop you. You see her if you want to. You should go for lunch with her."
I'm glad that he had that, because didn't we say on the I think I was saying on the podcast last week that I think Fizz was going a bit too far, telling Tyrone he's got no right to talk to Isla, just in case Hope and Darcy
I'm on her
fall
side.
out. Yeah,
I'm on her side because she can say just as much as it's none of her business. It's also perfectly within her right to say whatever she likes. She can say whatever she likes. And if Tyrone was so upset and worried about it, he wouldn't have broken up with her in the first place. Is what I think. It's his fault that they're even in the situation in the first place. And I also don't understand, why is he so desperate to get a woman? Same as Kevin. Can't you just be single for a little bit? Can't you just have an empty bed for 5 minutes? Why do you need a girlfriend so much? Do you still not know how the washing machine works?
This. It's to cook the tea and wash the pants.
The date starts and Isla's like, right, number one, first thing, can we agree not to talk about kids? I don't want to talk about children. Let me talk instead about my ex-husband and how much I hate him. He's so boring. He's such a stick in the mud. I
found this really, really funny, because she basically describes Tyrone, doesn't
Yeah,
he? Because he's always been a total pipe and slippers man. He's been described that in the past, and she was saying, "Oh, this is what
I want an adventure. I want a man who's gonna.
I want a man that's got a photograph of himself standing in front of an exploding car."
And yeah, Tyrone's looks really awkward as she's saying that she doesn't want a boring old bloke.
I know.
And he's like, "Yeah, me too. I'm looking for some excitement. That's why I'm getting out of the rut that I was in."
With Fizz and the girls.
Yeah. I really hated being a stable family man. Fizz is chatting with Phil and the Rovers and says, "I'm not even obsessed with Tyrone. In fact, I'm the one who told him to move on with his life." Which is quite funny, because if she wasn't obsessed with him, she wouldn't be talking about him.
Yes.
But there you go. Later on, it seems as though the lunch has gone really well until a man comes tearing down the stairs like, "Oi, oi, what's going on here? Why are you you should just have lunch with your mates." Turns out they're not even exes, they're not even separated, they're still married, and he's surprised that this woman is off having lunch. I thought
that was I enjoyed that twist. Some people I saw speculating online that Phil would be her husband, sort of in the in-between of her saying my ex was total bore and this other ginger bloke turning up. Some people were saying, "Oh, what if this total bore that they're talking about is Phil?" That would have been quite funny as well. But no, it's
Fizz has got a type, hasn't she?
Yeah.
So he punches Tyrone on the nose and then starts having a row with Isla, and they storm off together. Fizz has watched the whole thing, and they take him back to number 9, and he's very embarrassed.
Nice punch, came out of nowhere.
It was funny, and he deserved it because I hate him.
Oh, I hate
really.
Tyrone.
But it's, this is the worst case scenario, isn't it? And it's happened now, and it doesn't seem to have affected anything to do with the girls. So obviously Fizz's worries were unfounded, because if anything's gonna ruin, who was it, Hope or Ruby? I can't remember, their relationship with their only friend. It was Hope, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It would be perhaps the fact that Hope's daddy tried to get off with, and then also I don't understand. Surely Hope knows that her friend's mummy and daddy are still living together. Wouldn't did this not come up? Tyrone's
That's a good point.
Hey, Hope, do you want, maybe one day you can be sisters with your best friend? Would you like that? Because Daddy thinks he's in there with with your friend's mum. And Hope be like, "Hang on a minute, what are you talking about?"
Yeah. Oh well.
See, do you not see? Can you now see how it is a bit of an awkward situation for Tyrone to put Hope in? That it is possible that could have happened. That she could have ended up having to move in with her best friend.
Oh, go for it! I say she's a stunner. Is that Isla? I would.
Well, you wouldn't get the chance. On Wednesday...
Unfortunately, I'm also a boring pipe and slippers man, so I don't think she'd have given me a second glance.
She's a right little chancer, isn't she, this Isla? What did she think was going to happen? Anyway, Tyrone offers to go for a drink with Phil on Wednesday because he wants to make an effort. He's like, oh, he's not going anywhere, so I better make an effort with him. So Phil says to Tyrone that he wants to take the girls away for Christmas, and Tyrone is taken aback, but he has to say yes. And then Phil goes home and says, oh, me and Tyrone had a nice time. And Fizz is like, oh, and he gives him a gift bag, and inside is a can of WD-40, and he's like, oh. And she says, oh, would you like your own drawer? And if you do, you have to fix the
It was her way of inviting him to move in with her, basically.
Well, we've made lots of jokes, mean jokes about men who can't do their own washing and cleaning, but it looks as though Fizz can't do her own de-squeaking. So...
Phil's the perfect man. Phil, fix me drawer.
Yeah. It's funny.
It's funny. This totally is still seeming to me like, Christmas reunion is imminent. The fact that this holiday away is due to be on the 24th of December or something, isn't it? I can totally see now Fizz deciding, no, I can't do it. I can't go off on holiday with you, Phil. I need to stay here with Tyrone. I think that Christmas morning, Fizz, Tyrone wake up together in bed. Something like that.
Dirty.
It feels like it is definitely going down that route, which I'm still very happy with. I know you're not.
Boo.
But it's a shame because I really, really like Phil, and I don't think that Phil's going to stay in this show.
It's very important to me that fictional characters are punished for beyond reason for any personal mistakes that they've made, no matter how justified or misguided they admit they were eventually. They have to be punished forever.
What if Tyrone ended up on the streets or getting propositioned by somebody in room 34 or having to eat bin pizza, would you feel any sympathy for him then?
I think he should be forced to eat bin pizza. May his pizza always be cold.
He probably didn't mind. He probably likes it.
He'd probably be like, score, look, Kevin, come and see.
Come and have a look
and
at
Kevin
the car
run over
that's
and go,
thrown away.
hey, look at all this stuff, people just throwing it out.
Closing the garage today, Ty.
Can you
Today we
believe
feast
this?
like kings.
Yeah, bloody brilliant. Let's come back here tomorrow. These suckers throwing away perfectly good pizza. Wow. I'm going to tell Abby, we never have to buy food again.
Right, the Raycon storyline. Gemma, Raycons are?
Wireless headphones.
They are.
Go to raycon.com and enter the code Conversation Street for 10% off.
We are not sponsored by Raycon
We're
yet.
sponsored by Surfshark VPN. That's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We're not sponsored. We're never sponsored by anyone.
No, because Michael won't let us.
I don't want to be sponsored. Nobody likes adverts and podcasts, do they? Right, Wednesday then. So Tim goes to the prison to visit Faye. She's not just been left to rot in the cell. She's actually back. When was the last time we saw her? Like February, March?
Well, you were
time,
moaning and
maybe?
saying we haven't seen her for ages, and then
I
she
kind
is.
of thought that she'd been written out, maybe.
Yeah,
because there was the
I
story with her being a secret girlfriend to Craig, but then to decide not to do that. I can't remember. And so I thought that maybe Ellie was off doing some education type thing, and maybe she still is. I don't know whether we're going to see lots and lots of Faye, but
well, we had all kinds of.
That was a total surprise to me when she came back this week.
We had all kinds of theories about how it was going to play out because she was supposed to be. Her and Craig weren't supposed to socialise with one another because Craig's not allowed to because of his policing, and so the fact that they pursued the sort of correspondence despite that was supposed to be leading to something.
Yeah.
And then she didn't even appear on the show, but now she's back. It does make me wonder what's going to happen. Obviously, the fact that she's come back now and what happened in this story, it's obvious to me that she'll be out by Christmas.
She's going to be out, isn't she? Absolutely. So I was quite pleased to see her again. I don't mind Faye. She's looking pretty rough though, isn't she? She's very upset that she missed Seb's funeral. She's kind of given up all hope. Prison isn't the holiday camp that it has been sometimes depicted when other characters go there. So she only gets one scene this week, but Tim starts the wheels in motions when he goes back home later and says, Sal, we need to do something to get Faye's spirits up. So Sal says, I promise I'll think of something. So what she does is goes to Debbie and says, look, how about, that Ray bloke that sexually assaulted Faye. Was it he tried to rape her or something, didn't he? In the office at the bistro.
And that's why she hit Adam on
Yes,
the head.
yes, that's right. You know that. Maybe you could get him to confess that he did that and Faye can get out. And Debbie's like, I don't think that he's going to, but she still gives it a shot on Wednesday's episode.
She's so great.
Debbie is just brilliant.
One of my favourite characters.
I absolutely love her. And I was very so about her comeback a couple of years ago when she swanned in with Auntie Vi's money. But I don't know what I'm more obsessed with now, Debbie or Debbie's earrings. And never has a fashion accessory
you love it, don't
interested me or caught my attention more. Why should I care about things like that? But every time Debbie is in a new episode, I'm like, oh, what's she got dangling from her earlobes this week? They're incredible.
She does have a very fantastic, and I wouldn't wear most of her outfits, but I absolutely love her in them.
Yeah.
I love somebody who's a bit dangerous with their fashion.
She is bloody brilliant for the street, Debbie Webster. What a good idea to bring her back.
Spitfire.
And the fact that they kept her in after this Ray story it could have very well ended with her
going, right, I'm off to Turkey.
Yeah, but keep her in forever. She is fantastic. Anyway, so she goes to see Ray, doesn't she, on Friday's episode after having a bit of a chat with David and
such a liar.
Kevin and everything, because she says, I'm going to try and get hold of this Colin bloke who was investigating the sinkhole. I couldn't remember what people knew about what had happened about this, but she puts two and two together in this episode and realises, hang on a minute, maybe Ray paid Colin to create this sinkhole, which is what happened.
But never mind.
Yeah, I didn't know whether people knew about this, but apparently not, but now Debbie does, or at least she thinks she knows the truth. So she goes to visit Ray and she says, right, you're going to plead guilty to sexually assaulting Faye, and if you don't, I'm going to tell the police that you're behind the sinkhole. I've been talking to Colin, and he's confessed to creating this sinkhole, and you paid him £45,000. And Ray is like a bit like, whoa, I wasn't expecting you to know about that.
He's like, no.
He acts kind of cool about it, doesn't he?
Yeah,
you could
like,
see
you don't know,
his reaction is like, bloody hell, I wasn't expecting this when I woke up this morning. And he says, well, even if it were true, hello, I'm Ray, I really know them. I didn't force Johnny down that sinkhole. And Debbie says, that was a bit of a feeling, wasn't it? Debbie says, nevertheless, without that hole, Johnny would still be alive, and that is a fact. You need to tell your solicitor what you did to Faye, otherwise I'm going to dob you in. And if you confess to assaulting Faye, you'll get 5 years. If you are found guilty of manslaughter for the whole sinkhole thing, you're going to get 24 years. So it's a bit of a no-brainer, basically. And Ray later on gets his solicitor to come and visit and trying to find out if he's legally covered. Hypothetical situation
imagine
here.
If a man, just say there's a man, and just say that there's this really annoying bloke, right? This bloke, you don't even know how annoying this bloke is. He's so annoying. He pushes mum down the stairs for a start, right? And he calls his mum Gail. No, not Gail. Fanny. Say her name's Fanny. He calls her by her first name. And he just swans around all the time thinking he's so great, right? And the sister's like, hang on, what are you talking about? Right, imagine if you dug a hole and you imagine that a bloke owned a pub. No, not a pub. A hairdresser's. Imagine that he fell down the hole and then he rescued his wife. No, say it's his dog. And then he died. Would it be my fault? And the bloke's like, what? No, hang on, what?
Did you make a sinkhole appear? That sinkhole that's been in the news recently. Was that you, Ray? Come on.
He basically is like, say I dug a hole and walked off and a man fell in it and died. Is it my fault? And this is
does
like...
it have proper signage?
And this is like, did you put a sign up? And he's like,
did
no.
You put a warning triangle by your hole.
Focusing on irrelevant details.
Like it was me.
And he's like,
yes.
Yeah, probably.
Actually,
and you probably
would.
get 24 years for it.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
So,
my legal advice.
That does the trick anyway, because... there's a scene before where Debbie's telling Kevin about this, and what we find out was that she hadn't actually got hold of Colin because he's gone underground, which is quite ironic considering what his
he hasn't gone underground.
What his career was.
She played a very dangerous game here because she said I couldn't find him, so I assumed that Ray couldn't find him either. Really? What? So you can't find a bloke that you didn't even know existed until today, but you assume the guy who paid him 45 grand doesn't have like an email address for him?
I couldn't remember. I thought that Debbie said they knew of him because it was
Yeah, I know.
her and David said, oh yeah, what was he called? Oh yeah,
Yeah, but
it was
you know
Colin,
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She's assuming that just because she can't find him, that Ray's got no contact with him, which not necessarily.
Well, Colin's been given this £45,000 to start a new life, so
Well, that's
I probably
what he said he was going to do.
Probably wouldn't keep my email address if that was me.
No, but I
Anyway, you're right. She is playing a very dangerous game.
at hotmail.com. He's like, God, I don't want to give this up.
She's looked into the bistro accounts and found that last Christmas Ray took out £45,000 for unspecified reasons, and she kind of gambled with the fact that maybe that
Christmas.
was for this. Yeah, it's getting more and more expensive, isn't it? You don't get those Bud Lightyear dolls for cheap, you know.
She's like, God, price of turkey.
Anyway, so really, Ray's fallen for it, hook, line and sinker, because Tim later comes into the Rovers and announces to all and sundry, who's the only people who are in the pub at the time are the people who would be interested in this news, by the way, that Faye is now able to appeal or something. Or no, what is it? What can happen to her? She can come out probably anyway.
Probably just get allowed out.
There's more likely that she's going to be allowed out because Ray has confessed to sexually assaulting her. He's changed his plea, and Kevin and Debbie are chuffed. And there was a nice little scene where Kevin told his sister he was proud of her.
But she also says, like, if he ever finds out I'm in trouble.
Yes. Oh, Ray, you better not kill Debbie. I'm going to come and get you.
I don't get this as, like, this is what we said before about the vampire who dies and then all the wicked deeds become undone. Like, just because... And I must have a different sense of justice to everyone else. Because it doesn't really matter to me whether or not Faye, like, Ray sexually assaulted Faye or not. Because she still brained Adam nearly to death.
Yeah.
I felt the same way about what... I don't think that she should have been punished, but I felt the same way about what Yasmin did to Jeff. Like, I know that he was a dickhead, but she still did try to kill him with a wine bottle.
Yeah.
Like,
and to be fair, Yasmin was self-defense. Ray stalked this guy in a cold winter's night. Adam. I mean, he was just sitting there at the bar listening to his music and purposefully clonked him round the head. I think that she deserves to be in prison for a little bit of that.
I don't necessarily, she did still try to kill a man, and he wasn't doing anything to her at the time.
If he'd have done it while he was trying to have his wicked way,
that would have been different. Yeah, that would have been a bit different, because, you know, it would have been more along the lines of what happened with Yasmin and Jeff. But are we all pretending that they didn't do anything at all?
We were all very surprised when Faye got given 3 years earlier this year, weren't we? Because that was not spoiled or anything either. So it feels like it is going to be cut short now. It'd be a bit tough on LA Leach if they were like, yeah, for this story you have got to go to prison for 3 years, and no, you don't get a story in there actually.
But I thought she was like, I want to do a degree. Can I just go to prison for 3 years? That's what I thought was.
I can't remember.
I don't know how old she is.
Faye, she's like 19 now, maybe.
Well, that's the perfect age to be going to university.
I find it interesting how she mentions Kelly, didn't she? Because Tim talked to her and she's like, oh, she gets out, why don't I get out, and stuff. So that was quite a nice link there. So if she does get out...
Because you brained a man. She just slapped somebody and then watched somebody else get kicked to death.
And laughed about it for a little bit until you realised what was going on. Then you didn't phone the ambulance and
which
stuff.
Which has been pointed out to me is not a crime. I agree. It is a crime in different countries, though, isn't it? Isn't it in Germany?
Yes,
I think
I believe so.
You can get in trouble.
Yeah. So not only will Faye possibly get out when she actually did do something a bit naughty, it might also mean that Johnny doesn't get his justice, because Debbie now knows that Ray is ultimately responsible for Johnny's death, but she's withholding that information from... I don't know who needs to know. Would Jenny benefit from knowing that Ray's the one for her to direct her?
Well, nobody knows that this whole thing wasn't really an accident, and they also are blaming the Platts.
Yeah, they are actually, aren't they?
So it's got to come out.
Yeah. I think it will. That's the thing. I think that he's now confessing to sexually assaulting Faye, so
Well,
he's going to get his 5 years. No, and there is. You're right. There's
Anybody
absolutely nothing to stop.
Saying he was it him that would done it.
Yeah, don't know whether Colin's going to turn up.
No, could do, couldn't he? But at the end of the day,
I reckon that Colin and Leo are mates.
What's the difference though? Like, I think. All right, I know we'll not shove about this, but isn't what's her face? Kelly more responsible for Seb's death than Ray is for Johnny's. How is it that we're supposed to just?
So Kelly was there, and
Kelly instigated the events that led directly to Seb dying, and she could have possibly saved him if she'd phoned the ambulance. We don't know. Ray had a hole dug that eventually this is just as unforeseen, but equally as possible. You know, inciting violence that led to death. Digging a hole that led to a sinkhole that then led to somebody falling in it.
Yeah.
Just as unlikely.
Why did he dig the hole again?
Because he wanted
David
to
out,
sell the
he?
house.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I think if you can't forgive Ray and you think it's illogical that he is responsible, which I think so, yes, he is. But if the same logic applies to Kelly, in my opinion. And that's why because I was getting mad about it because, but you pointed out to me that the prosecutor specifically said there was no evidence to pursue a case of culpable responsibility or whatever it is.
Culpability or whatever, yeah.
Because there are cases where people have done the same thing as Kelly and they got charged for murder just the same as the person who actually murdered somebody. So I don't know. I think it was a bit of a cop-out for Coronation Street to say that there was no evidence for it because they could have asked me. I'll go on the stand.
Right.
I saw it happen.
What are we rating our Coronation Street?
I'll shut up about it now. I don't ever want to talk about.
I think we're going to have to talk about Kelly again.
No, I don't ever want to talk about whether I think Kelly should be.
Fresh slate from
I'm
next
sure
week.
Nobody else wants to hear it anymore either.
We know what you
Everyone
think.
already has decided how they feel about it. I'll shut up now. But it just occurred to me that I think there's a parallel between the two scenarios that I hadn't thought of before today.
Yeah, no, that's very good.
So you want me to score it?
Yeah, you score it. How did you rate this week's Corrie, Gemma?
I thought there were some really good bits, but I also thought there were some boring bits. I really liked Ray and Faye being back in it.
Nice surprise. I didn't know either of them were going to be back, so nice.
It wasn't like an amazing week, but you know, I loved a bit of Jenny. I thought Jenny drunk acting and being funny and also really sad and tragic and simultaneously fantastic. Not keen on Daniel and Daisy together at all. Also think everyone's being a bit dumb with Kelly. Especially Toya and Imran. Come on, guys. Like, maybe you shouldn't have any foster children if you're going to be like, oh, we thought that she was hanging out with her mum that abused her. That's fine then. As long as she's buying her pizza and not making her eat it out of the bin.
We demand scores, Gemma.
Is it ironic that Kelly said that she was eating pizza with her mum and then the only pizza she could eat was out of a bin with a homeless man?
Tragic.
A 3.5. So many good ones to pick. Weird armpit fetishes.
I'm going to give it a 3.5 as well. I thought it was, I think I felt more positive about the week towards you, but I'm still giving it the same score because we don't always agree on what counts as whatever score. But I thought it was a fairly solid week. I don't think there were any stories there where I was completely turned off by. There were some momentous events like Johnny's funeral was quite big. Maybe that was about it. Some returns for some characters we hadn't seen.
Poignant acting from Sam.
Yeah. It was all pretty solid. There wasn't anything that bored me, but equally there wasn't anything that got me, super, super excited. So I think 3.5 is fair for this. I'm going to give it 3.5 flatulent daisies out of 5 this week. And character of the week.
It's going to be Jenny for me.
Is it Jenny for you?
Yeah, she's funny. She's great. She did fantastic performances from Sal as usual. The speech at the funeral, the panic in the graveyard beforehand, the drunk acting and telling Daisy she's a gold digger. I think a lot of people have been waiting for Jenny to say she's got the measure of Daisy, and she definitely did that.
But she has done quite a few times, hasn't she, in the past, and then she forgets about it and lets Daisy walk all over her again. I tell you, if Gemma, if this was an award ceremony, I think that Pedo Hotel Man would be like half out of his seat when you're about to announce your winner there, and then he kind of has to abashedly sit down again
and clap. Go, yeah, she deserved it.
Well done, Jenny. Great.
Well, I mean, he's the main victim of the week, isn't he? Because he didn't do anything wrong.
He
was trying to help a poor girl who didn't have any champagne.
Yeah.
And he was helping her with champagne.
Yeah.
Which was very, very generous of him.
She got his hopes up, didn't she?
She's so mean.
Here's my character of the week. Is it going to be Jenny as well?
And he let her charge her phone up. He offered her a shower.
He did. I enjoyed... Who do I enjoy this week? I enjoyed Sam this week. I enjoyed the Fizz Tyrone Phil thing, but that's not going to be character of the week necessarily. Thought Max was all right, but in parts I'm kind of liking him a little bit more now. Kelly, I quite liked him. Well, that's got to be Jenny, hasn't it? I think if Debbie maybe had a bigger role, I'm still waiting for the week where, you know, Debbie is unequivocally the main character of the week. She still feels a bit like a side character to me, but I'll go for Jenny. I think
yeah,
I just love the character, and I thought that
good scenes this week.
Yeah, did a great little drunky bit, and like you said, the funeral was good, and funny lines, and like that she gave Daisy what for.